Gives us 18 inches of travel in the front, 24 in the back. You know, the truck has a lot of side-to-side roll, a lot of front-to-rear roll. You know, we do a lot of weight distribution on the truck. You know, it gets a lot of traction. It carries the front wheels, you know, and it's just like a sponge. Once it lands, it sticks.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's the setup from the Bigfoot operation. Right now, we're going to go over to Chris Chapman, and she's standing with the man that has designed the truck that's currently the world champion and currently the national points leader that Bigfoot's trying to catch. Chris?
Thanks, Army. I am with the man who built the #1 truck, the Equalizer, Gary Cook. Gary Cook, the situation is you haven't been running Bigfoot 8. Can you handle him?
Well, my rookie driver, Greg Holbrook, who just started in the truck this year, he has really come along good. He's got the handle on the truck. He's getting faster every week. And I feel like, you know, that he's up to it. And we've been doing a lot of work on the truck and trying to get a lot of little things better. And I think we're going to be able to hang in there with him.
Bigfoot 8 did take some time off to let the other trucks come up to par with his machine. What type of adjustments have you made on the Equalizer to bring him up to par, if not exceed him?
Well, we've just done a lot of little things. We've put on some new shocks. We went through the motor, trying to make a little more horsepower, but at the same time, we're trying to keep the truck super reliable. I think in a deal like this, in a point race, you've got to have equipment that doesn't break. And I feel like that our equipment is good and solid. It's proved itself the last 2 years. And I believe that the Bigfoot 8 truck, it's a fine engineered piece, but it may be even too engineered. I'm afraid that they might have some breakage, so I think we'll come out on top in the end.
Well, Gary, we'll see if you and Greg will be able to eat tonight after some very exciting racing here in Flemington. Let's go back now to Scott and Army.
Chris, let's also remember that the Equalizer has won the last 2 weeks in a row here on ESPN. So the Equalizer is built to lead over Bigfoot now to a full 59 points. The Auto Value King Crunch is still third, still in contention. Carolina Crusher, though, may take him over for the 3rd spot. Rounding out the top 5 is Awesome Kong, then Gravedigger, USA 1, Nightlife, the Outlaw, and the Buffalo Tremor, the top 10. Coming in to Flemington, New Jersey on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. Let's watch qualifying round action with the Equalizer side by side against Marvin Smith and the Wild Hair Chevrolet. And the Equalizer misses the 2nd set of cars. TNT rules say very clearly you must put both of your front wheels up the ramp and onto the first car when you hit a set. That means the Equalizer will have to re-qualify and take a 3-second penalty because that was not a legal qualifying run. And in points, that hurts you because you get more points the faster you qualify in TNT competition. So Greg Holbrook and the Equalizer will have to come back and try it again. Chris Chapman is going to go over and see if she can find out from the rookie exactly what happened to Greg Holbrook on that run.
Greg, being disqualified, is that going to present a problem for the Equalizer team?
Yeah, because there hadn't been no slow trucks out there tonight. Usually versus slow trucks, you can still come back and make a 2nd run with a 3-second penalty. Still qualify 7th or 8th, but tonight had nobody been slow.
Looked like when you came off that first set of cars that something happened in the rear end. What happened?
Yeah, the drive shaft loop, it broke it. It just may give me a funny bounce and maybe miss the 2nd set of cars.
Good luck when you come back.
Okay, thank you.
So, the Equalizer, no matter how well he qualifies, certainly is not going to get premium points because he's going to have a 3-second penalty. This is a great opportunity here in qualifying for Andy Brass and Bigfoot 8 to pick up some points. The Bigfoot 8 truck is back in competition, but big problems just like the Equalizer. Andy Brass kicks to the right, and his run will have to be redone. So Andy Brass will accept a 3-second penalty and will not gain any qualifying points at all on the Equalizer. And I'm going to tell you, trying to make up 59 points, the Bigfoot camp and Andy Brass can't afford to waste too many opportunities, and they wasted a golden chance right there to gain some ground. Now Bigfoot will back up and lay down another shot, but whatever he lays down, he's going to get a 3-second penalty added to it. Maybe the bigger story is not just those 2 trucks goofing up, but why did they goof up? Both of them seem to have the same problem off the first set of cars. Now this is the 2nd run, and Bigfoot makes some kind of adjustment in between the cars because he gets a nice, good, solid, fast run. But with a 3-second penalty, it'll be nowhere near the top. Again, you see it on the replay. Andy Brass took it a little easier, I think, off that first set to get a feel, and he comes in with a nice shot. So Bigfoot has himself re-qualified. but he's way down the list. Won't get any points, but he'll be safely into the field. Here's Chris with Andy Brass.
Andy, it took 2 tries to qualify. What's going on with Bigfoot?
Well, not really sure. You know, the first run, the truck veered real hard to the right. We had that problem a little bit last week. You know, I watched Equalizer. He made the same thing happen to him. There's a hole in the cars, and I'm pretty sure the first run we just hit that hole and it just sucked us right off the cars. You know, I watched Equalizer again. His run, the same thing happened to him again. So these newer suspension trucks, it seems like when we're hitting the holes in the cars, it just pulls us one way or the other.
What type of adjustments were you making?
Well, I'm doing a little bit of shock adjustment right now, trying to compensate for it pulling me left or right. You know, I'm going to adjust the sway bar a little bit, maybe make some gearing changes.
Greg Holbrook now will re-qualify in the Equalizer. Interesting that Andy Brass talked about the newer technology of his truck and the Equalizer truck, which normally gives them an advantage, maybe a disadvantage here because this course seems to be sucking them to the side. And again, Equalizer had a little problem, went a little bit right, but straightens the run out and ends up getting a legal qualifying run in. Like Bigfoot, though, with a 3-second penalty, those will be the 2 slowest trucks in qualifying. That goes in the classic Buddha function. Bigfoot and Equalizer, the 2 slowest. Of course, that's not really the case, but with those penalties, that's the way they're lined up going into first-round competition. There you see the run from Greg Holbrook. He does get a legal shot in. Now Steve Wilkie's USA 1 ready to go into qualifying competition. And Wilkie's last run in TNT monster truck action was in Richmond, Virginia. And it's one he's going to remember for a long time. This was June the 16th. And watch what happens to him when he gets a little bit out of control. First, he almost hits the Equalizer, and he lands terribly in between the 2 sets of cars, completely shears the axle and both front wheels from underneath this truck, and over goes the USA 1 truck again. Earlier, Chris Chapman talked with Steve Wilkie about getting that very truck ready to race again in TNT competition. Here's that interview with Steve Wilkie.
We went back to the shop and assessed the damage and assessed how much work we'd have to do to bring the new truck. We were, again, looking to go to the next event immediately. We missed a couple of events, unfortunately. And in doing that, we got enough work done where it was actually easier to put this truck back together than to try to finish the new truck and get to the next event.
Can you possibly feel safe in this truck that has been over, I know, 8 times?
Well, Chris, I do a lot of work on the truck myself, and to me it's very important. The people who work on it I trust with my life. Greg Knutson, my metal man and top welder at the shop, I trust him again with my life. He's an ex-mud racer. He knows what it takes. He's been in this business 10 years. He's been in it as long as Everett has. So, yes, I do feel safe in the truck. If I didn't, I certainly wouldn't be here.
Competition on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. You're following it right here on ESPN. The Wild Hair has to lock horns with the Grave Digger. Boy, is this a battle of paint jobs or what? The Wild Hair with that modern design on his truck, and of course the awesome Grave Digger. Now Dennis Anderson was the fast qualifier, and he backs it up with a good first round shot, but did you see sparks flying from underneath the Grave Digger? That may be a sign of problems. We'll try to find out. Let's look at the replay first. Dennis Anderson got a little late start, really. Wild Hair pulled him out of the hole, but Marvin Smith had nothing for the Grave Digger as Dennis Anderson goes on to the win. There are those sparks we talked about, however, and Army Armstrong's going to go over there and see if he can get the word from Dennis Anderson to see if that's a problem.
Well, this could be a classic case of a man that won the battle but lost the war. Dennis Anderson, we understand you are not going to be coming back with the Grave Digger.
No, I'm not. And that's pretty sad, too, you know, because that I feel like the left lane is the best lane to be shooting out of. I ran hard to earn that lane, and I told the guys after I qualified that my name's on that lane all night long. And then I come back the first round and split the transmission housing open on the truck, so we won't be able to make it back. And so they're over thrashing on the truck right now, but, you know, Marvin gets to come back and take my place because I broke, but, you know, those fast rides ended quick.
seem tired. You really do tonight. I know, you guys have been thrashing. You're chasing these guys, trying to put wins under your belt. This piece is the first time it's ever broken on the truck. I've never seen that little short shaft break before.
Yeah, we were just talking about that last week, and we have replaced slip yokes and stuff like that when it get wore out, and I told the guys in the shop there last week, I said, this is the only thing in the last 2 years that has, that hadn't broke on this truck. I guess it kind of put the hex on me tonight. From now on, I won't brag on any part on that truck.
Bad break for Dennis Anderson. No Problem is getting ready to race. That is John Moore behind the wheel, not David Morris, who drove the truck the last couple of weeks. Chris Chapman talked to John to find out why he's driving again.
John, tell us about the change back in the drivers. What's going on?
Well, it was nice having off last week, but it's getting a little late in the points this year, and David felt he had a little trouble trying to steer the truck and control it. So I took the job back over again, and like I say, we're getting a little late in the points, and for Dave to try and come back on the truck and get used to it, we might not have a chance getting up in the 10.
Do you believe there's a possibility you could come back?
Yes, there's nothing said that Dave can't come back, and maybe if we stick it out through the winter, he might be back in 91 driving it.
Well, you can see this was at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina a week ago, and David Moore is obviously having a lot of trouble adjusting to the No Problem Ford Bronco after his successful World Championship run a year ago in that ultralight Equalizer Chevrolet. Well, now No Problem has the original driver back in it, John Moore, and I think you'll see a lot more out of that truck here today as he takes on Dave Wysoryk's beautiful Nightlight Chevrolet. Wow, that's about as close as you can get coming across the line. Dave Wysoryk eking out a narrow victory, or at least it appeared so, over the No Problem Ford. Let's slow it down and take a look at the replay, and I think it's going to show you that Dave Wysoryk's Nightlight on the left-hand side of the screen holds off John Moore, No Problem, by the narrowest of margins. Here they come, the poles at the end of the track right there signify the finish line, and wow, by a matter of inches.
Dave Wysoryk, the word we get from control is about 3 inches was the margin of victory.
That's close. That's awful close. I don't know. I did the best I could. The track's a lot real fast. When you come off that first set of cars, you're getting a bad bounce. And as you can see on right now from the way everybody's running, everybody's losing it on that first set on the right-hand side.
If you had to do it again, would you go back to the same lane or make a lane choice? Difference.
If I had a different lane, I'd take that left lane. It's a lot smoother coming off that first set. It must be the drop between the ramp and the cars, and everybody's getting that bad bounce. The foot's even doing it, so I don't feel so bad.
The right lane is tough in New Jersey. All of the drivers are trying to figure it out. We'll find out in a minute who's got a handle on it. Welcome back to Flemington, New Jersey, and the TNT Monster Truck Challenge. We're going to see the Bigfoot number 8 revolution continue. The new state-of-the-art truck out of Bob Chandler's stable in Missouri will take on another Missouri truck. This is the Chevrolet of Marvin Smith, the old stomper now known as the Wild Hair. Bigfoot 8 trying to make up points in the World Championship battle. Needs to win every time out. Here comes Andy Brass. In trouble, he's lost it. Andy Brass loses control. He beat Wild Hair across the finish line, but it is not going to matter. It's an illegal run. He'll be disqualified and out for the night. Wow, what a story. Bigfoot 8 coming back. Everybody was worried about how badly he was going to dominate, but here in Flemington, he is out early because of a disqualification. Well, there you can see it again. The right lane is the story. Marvin Smith has not won a race, yet he is going to make it into the semifinal round. And as for Bigfoot, that earlier DQ in qualifying cost him because he never had lane choice. He kept getting thrown in the bad lane, and now he's been thrown out. Marvin Smith and Wild Hair in the semifinals. Andy Brass is on the trailer, and he's with Chris Chapman.
Andy, that hole got you twice.
Yeah, it did. It's just something we've been trying to figure out. I pulled this side, tried to pull a little bit this way, and it was just a little bit too much, I guess.
Andy Brass and Bigfoot very disappointed here in Flemington, New Jersey. The Carolina Crusher will now take on the Equalizer. Equalizer is in that bad lane. Crusher, a very consistent truck. Can he get him? Equalizer has been defeated by the Carolina Crusher. A big upset set, so Equalizer will not be able to pad his points lead over Bigfoot. No, instead, Carolina Crusher thinks he can make this a 3 or 4 team battle for the championship. You know, if Crusher or King Crunch is going to run down the top 2, this is what's got to happen down the home stretch. Every chance head-to-head, you got to win. And Gary Porter did it right there in the Carolina Crusher. That is a huge victory for the big truck from North Carolina. Here's Army Armstrong standing by with Greg Holbrook, who lost that one in the Equalizer. Army?
The word we were getting was Crusher by a hood length, but your engine made a real weird 3 pops right at the end of the run. What was that from?
Where I had it to the floor, it was just hitting up against the rev limiter.
Just, I mean, you were just, all your cards went down and you just didn't win it.
No, it took another bad hop on that first set of cars, but if I had a couple more runs, I could get it out, but I'm not going to tonight.
What's the problem with the right lane? You and Bigfoot both have been snake bitten coming out of that right lane.
The leaf spring trucks are doing okay with it, but our suspensions, where they're so independent, the tires just follow the contours of the car, and when they drop off in a hole, that's where they go.
There's the culprit. A rocky right lane has put Bigfoot 8 and Equalizer out of competition. We'll be right back. We're down to the final 4, and Steve Wilkie is there. The USA 1 Chevrolet out of Ham Lake, Minnesota, taking on the Wild Hair Chevrolet. And Marvin Smith out of Arnold, Missouri. USA 1 got the bad lane. But Wilkie's handling it. And USA 1 has got the victory. Hold on, Steve Wilkie, as he gets a little bucking bronco type of action. And there are cars set up in front of a fence at the end of the track. And that's exactly what they're there for, to keep USA 1 from going through the fence. He had to use that car. Let's watch the run again. USA 1 is a leaf spring suspension truck. As Greg Holbrook was talking about earlier, that means in that bad right lane, he is less likely to be sucked in to that big hole in the cars.
Steve Wilkie, it's not old news. You've been here before, but it's been a while. It's final time. You're going to be one of 2.
Yeah, Army, True Value Chevrolet, she's been running pretty good tonight. Track's a little greasy. She's coming around in the mid-range, but I've been able to make enough power in the top end to walk away. If I can keep it fairly straight coming out the top end, or the first stack there on the top end, I think I can beat them.
USA number 1, the symbolic index finger held high from a USA 1 driver. This time, Steve Wilkie. Rod Litzow, of course, made that sign famous en route to the 1988 World Championship. And, well, Wilkie driving the heck out of it tonight. He's in the Monster Smash final. Well, coming up next, it'll be Carolina Crusher taking on the Auto Value King Crunch. Scott Stevens out of Woodlands, Texas, in the Crunch ride, trying to knock off the Carolina Crusher. Army Armstrong has grabbed a 2-way radio. He can communicate with Scott Stevens.
You see what they're calling the hole from where you're sitting right now. Can the driver actually see the hole you're trying to miss?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually starting off about a foot to the left. That way I'm anticipating the truck to go back just a little. Did we win? Yeah. King Crunch is going to keep them still in Flemington, New Jersey.
Scott Stevens obviously pumped up. You were able to hear the radio communication as soon as his crew chief, Kevin Ford, told him he had it won. Scott said, King Crunch ticket to tail in Flemington, New Jersey. And indeed, that tail belonged to the Carolina Crusher. Scott Stevens is your winner. He's with Army Armstrong.
Okay, let's talk about the track specifically. Lane choice. Who's going to get it in this round?
I'm not even for sure. It looks like it don't matter right now. I can run in either lane. You know, I kind of watched everybody all night. I knew that they were bouncing to the right. You know, like I told you, I started off a foot to the left. You know, truck went to the right just like I figured it would. But that was a good straight pass. We've been having steering problems the whole month of June. You know, did a few changes. We're still not right, but, you know, we're getting there. Truck's going to be back.
The Auto Value King Crunch and Scott Stevens out of Woodlands, Texas. the Chevrolet beating another Chevy, the Carolina Crusher. Now, Crunch left your screen. That's what Scott was talking about. He knew he was going to hit the hole, so he started out left, and instead of kicking him too far, it put him right in the middle of the track. There's Gary Porter, and what he was doing was up looking at the timing tape to see how close it was. Chris Chapman's going over to talk to Gary.
Gary, after reviewing the timing tape, do you still feel the same way?
You know, I knew it was a very close race, and I just wanted to watch the tape to make sure, and after watching it, you know, there's no question about it. He beat me by maybe 6 inches.
How does that make the whole heart feel?
It's really let down. You know, I was hoping to make it to the finals and, you know, maybe take home a win tonight, but it just wasn't my night. I'll be back again tomorrow.
USA 1 sounds like it's ready to go against King Crunch in the Monster Smash Final. That is coming up next. Here we go. This is what it's all about, the Monster Smash Final. No, the brand new Bigfoot 8 returning tonight, he's not here. The World Champion Equalizer, he's not here. It's USA 1 and the Auto Value King Crunch. Give it to Steve Wilkie and USA 1. He's having trouble stopping. Oh, he's taking the fence down at the end of the track. Steve Wilkie and USA 1 smashed into that car that was being used as a barrier, and he took it right through the fence. But Wilkie's not worried about the fence. He's got a big smile on his face because after all the problems recently for that USA 1 truck, he has put it back in victory lane. And the True Value Special out of Minnesota, USA 1, the Chevrolet, getting the win over the Auto Value King Crunch. On the replay, you can see that USA 1 was not intimidated at all by the bad lane. He got King Crunch out of the hole and held it over the Auto Value Special all the way. Steve Wilkie, USA 1, taking the victory, and they love it, the Chevy fans do, in Flemington, New Jersey. Steve Wilkie wins it. For Army Armstrong and Chris Chapman, I'm Scott Douglas. We'll look for you again next time on the TNT Monster Truck Challenge.